He wasn't supposed to fight that night. All he wanted to do was pick up his daughter from school, drive home, and pretend he was just a regular single dad, a man who'd left danger far behind. But then his little girl, Lily, tugged on his sleeve, her eyes wide, her voice a small whisper. "Daddy, please help her." That was all it took. The old instincts, the ones he'd buried deep, slammed awake. 3 grown men cornering a lone woman. 1 unarmed father. It was over in 10 seconds. 10 seconds of brutal, precise violence that would change everything. By sunrise, the quiet suburban street was buzzing. Neighbors were whispering behind their curtains. Police cruisers were circling, their occupants baffled by the scene. And then a black SUV, sleek and imposing with a 4-star Admiral's flag on the bumper, rolled to a stop right in front of his house. The Navy hadn't come to thank him. They'd come to reclaim him. Let's rewind. Meet Ethan Cole, an ex-Navy SEAL. After a career-ending injury, he traded his combat gear for a quiet life, focusing on his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. His mission was simple: raise her, keep her safe, and stay invisible. But invisibility is a luxury you can't always afford. They were on their way home from her school, Lily chattering away about her day when she saw it first. In a nearly empty parking lot, a woman was being surrounded by 3 menacing men. Her voice was barely a breath, but it hit Ethan like a shockwave. "Daddy, please help her." Every rational thought in Ethan's head screamed, "No, don't get involved. You have a daughter to think about. You left that life behind." But a SEAL doesn't just walk away from someone in distress. It's not in the programming. He told Lily to hide behind a nearby car and stay down, his voice calm but firm. Then he stepped forward. He tried diplomacy first, a calm, level voice, asking the men to back off. They just laughed. One of them lunged. That was their mistake. Even unarmed, even out of practice, Ethan was a precision instrument of force. The fight was a blur of motion, brutal, clean, surgical. He moved through them not like a man brawling, but like a force of nature. A broken wrist here, a dislocated shoulder there, a precise strike to a nerve cluster. It was over in less than 10 seconds. The 3 men were on the ground, groaning and incapacitated. The woman, shaken but unharmed, used the opportunity to escape, melting into the shadows. Ethan didn't wait around, grabbed Lily, got her in the car, and drove away. His heart pounding not from the exertion, but from the adrenaline and the fear of what he'd just unleashed. But he wasn't the only one who saw it. From a nearby window, someone had recorded the entire thing on their phone, and by midnight, the video was everywhere. The next morning was chaos. The video, titled "Dad vs. Thugs," had millions of views. The police showed up at his door, their questions tinged with suspicion. They'd seen the aftermath. The 3 men in the hospital. The officers were confused. The efficiency of the takedown, the specific injuries. This wasn't a typical street fight. This was something else entirely. The neighbors, who once saw him as the quiet, friendly single dad, now looked at him with a mixture of awe and fear. "Who fights like that?" they whispered. "He's not a normal father. He's not a normal man." Unmarked sedans began appearing on his street, men in dark suits watching his house. Ethan felt a familiar chill. This wasn't just local trouble. This was something bigger. And then the confirmation arrived. The black SUV pulled up, silent and official. 2 uniformed officers stepped out, their posture ramrod straight. They didn't approach the door. They stood guard as the rear door opened and a Navy Admiral emerged. He was a man Ethan recognized, a ghost from his past. The Admiral didn't knock, simply walked up the driveway, his gaze fixed on Ethan, and spoke in a low, commanding tone. "Step outside, Cole." Ethan complied, his mind racing. The Admiral's words cut through the morning air. "You should have stayed hidden, son. We gave you a new life for a reason." He gestured vaguely toward the street, toward the unseen eyes of the internet. "Now everyone knows exactly who you are." Inside the house, the truth came crashing down. The Admiral laid it all out. Those 3 men in the parking lot weren't just random criminals. They were operatives, connected to a high-value target Ethan had hunted years ago on a covert mission overseas, a ruthless arms dealer who had sworn revenge. And the woman he'd saved, she wasn't just a civilian. She was a key federal witness, scheduled to testify against that same arms dealers network. She was being tracked. Ethan hadn't just stumbled into a mugging, he'd walked right into the middle of a covert war. By becoming a viral hero, Ethan had inadvertently put a giant flashing sign over his own head. His name, his face, his location all exposed. The Admiral's purpose was clear. The Navy needed him back. Not as an active-duty SEAL, but as the only man alive who knew the target well enough, the only man who could finish what he started. Ethan's answer was immediate and unflinching. No. He looked toward Lily's room where she was quietly playing, blissfully unaware. I have a daughter now. My duty is to her. I gave up the Navy to raise her, to be her father. That life is over. He'd made a promise to himself and to her. But the Admiral had one last card to play. His expression was grim. We have intel, Ethan. They know about her. Now that they know where you are, they're not coming for you first. He let the words hang in the air, a devastating silence filling the room. They're coming for her next. In that moment, Ethan realized the horrifying truth. Staying out was no longer an option. The safest place for Lily was no longer by his side in a quiet suburb. The only way to truly protect her was to eliminate the threat permanently. His quiet life was a fantasy, and the monster from his past was now knocking on his daughter's door. The transformation was immediate. The retired father receded, and the SEAL reawakened. Ethan went to the hidden compartment in his floorboards, a place he hadn't opened in years. He rearmed. He began the familiar rituals, the mental and physical checklists. He moved with a purpose that had been dormant for too long, his body remembering the lethal discipline. He started training again in his garage, the movements sharp, the focus absolute. The skills he promised himself he'd never use again were dusted off, not for a flag or a country, but for his child. Later that day, Lily found him cleaning a weapon. She looked at him, her expression a mix of confusion and childhood innocence. Daddy, you going to help her again? She asked, referring to the woman from the parking lot. Ethan stopped what he was doing and looked his daughter in the eyes, his voice steady. I'm going to help everyone, sweetheart. It was a promise. The black SUV was waiting. The Admiral stood by the open door. Ethan knelt down and gave Lily a long, tight hug, whispering something in her ear before handing her over to a trusted family friend who would take her to a secure location. He stood up, his face set like stone. He was no longer just Ethan Cole, the single dad. He was a weapon being unsheathed. He walked to the SUV and got in without a backward glance. The door shut with a heavy, final thud. He was on a new mission now, Father's War. And somewhere out there, a very dangerous man was about to learn the ultimate lesson. You don't ever threaten a CL's family. The hunt was on. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what happens next.